We are talking tech this morning from Google and Facebook in a bidding war over social mapping application Waze. Remember we were talking about that the other day, Joe? To Apple's operating system undergoing a major makeover. Our next guest is watching it all, and can we just call you the boy genius? Do we even have to say who you are?
No, not at all.
Jonathan Geller. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of the Boy Genius Report. That's sort of a little bit of a narcissistic name to call it. Did you come up with that yourself?
Someone else started calling me that, and I kind of ran with it because nobody knew who I was, and I was very young.
Yeah.
I was 17, so it kind of fit like the image.
Are you going to write a book about
the boy genius? We'll see what trouble he gets into. If he gets into big trouble, I'm there for him.
Has to be something.
So tell us a couple things. iPhone 5, 5S, we're going to get one soon.
I don't know if we'll see it in June. Apple has a Worldwide Developer Conference in June, in a couple weeks. We'll see definitely new operating systems for phone, for Mac. So
it'll all look different.
It'll look different.
This is Johnny Ive.
He's running it. He's running the whole show. I think we'll also start to see some features that we really want on the iPhone to make it more of a desktop type of platform. So you'll start to see, I think,
more like
iOS
a desktop platform. What does that mean?
You'll start to see iOS and OS X, the Mac and the mobile operating systems, I think, start to merge more together than we have before.
So Becky and I just saw some laptops, the Windows laptops now, where you can swipe right on the screen. Do you think we're going to start seeing that on Mac very soon?
I think that Apple will make an iOS laptop type of product, but not a Mac type of product with a touchscreen.
If you, I have a 3-year-old, and if you have a little kid like that, you know that's the future. Because as soon as they get to all they want to do is swipe. They swipe the TV set now. So I think that's real.
Wonder why it doesn't move.
Yeah, but man, they come out with something every 2 weeks. It feels like you fall behind by shutting your eyes for an hour. So it's crazy. Huh.
Is your sense that Apple can catch up to Google's Android?
I don't know that they're so far behind as people think. I mean, I think if you look at what Apple's done, I think they've literally invented this entire market. If you look at the smartphone market before Apple, it was completely different. I don't necessarily think they're that far behind from Google. I really don't. You know, I don't see that separation that a lot of people claim to see.
Right. See, there was BlackBerries before.
There was,
yeah,
but that's
just
that's where he made his bones, by the way.
It's such a sore subject right now. I have this junky, old, outdated BlackBerry.
But by definition, a BlackBerry is not a smartphone. There were no smartphones before the iPhone. Now that should tell you something right there. Get that keyboard.
I liked the new one that I had.
Who was in last week?
I got a replacement one that was a piece of junk.
My sister-in-law won't do it either. You know, with the women with the keyboards, man. It's because all you do is gossip, sending messages.
Tell us about this.
You want to get on the internet?
I do, but the new BlackBerry allowed me to do that. The old one doesn't.
Tell us about this Waze deal. And Waze, by the way, I used it for the first time. It's an app.
I don't know what that is.
This is like Google Maps, except that it's crowdsourcing all of the traffic information. Right. So if you pass a cop...
Does it work better than that Apple thing?
I think it might.
It's amazing.
If you go past a cop, you just say, past a cop, and then everyone knows that there's a cop sitting on the Palisades.
It's the digital equipment flashing your lights.
I got an AccuWeather app.
You can say, hazard, road closed, traffic. So you have all these people that are now driving, and it's collecting crowdsourced information. It's absolutely incredible.
And now Facebook wants to buy it.
Facebook's poking around. Yahoo's poking around. Apple was said to be poking around a couple months ago. Google, I mean, it's definitely a hot property. I think the issue is it's an Israeli company. They want all the R&D, all the people to stay in Israel. They don't want to, I think, move. I think that's probably a hiccup with their negotiations in addition to, I'm sure, costs and
Hulu
like that.
Also up for grabs. Yahoo's also looking at that.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd want Hulu. I really don't. It looks like Yahoo's literally, well, I mean, maybe, but Yahoo's
Comcast owns a piece of Hulu, so be careful.
No, I'm saying for Yahoo, it's like literally, Marissa Mayer is literally trying to replicate Google, right? Hulu, YouTube, Flickr, photography with Picasa. You have Tumblr now with Google Blogspot.
Were you a fan of the Tumblr deal? Does that make sense to you?
I mean, I don't know. I think if you look at numbers, they paid 16 times more for GeoCities, whenever that was, and or I'm sorry, 3 times more for that, and Tumblr reaches 16 times more people or something. So it's a great deal. I don't know if it makes sense, but I don't know if Yahoo makes sense, period, at this point. So.
Well, I mean, everybody wants a foothold in television online, right? So Hulu, I mean, I used to love Hulu because you could find all those crappy 80s television shows. You could watch Stargate for 8 days straight because there were so many episodes. But it's all about the content, right? I mean, as you were saying earlier, if you don't buy all of the pieces that come into Hulu, what are you getting when you buy Hulu?
And now licensing's so much more restricted, right? There's less shows, there's less things you can watch.
Right.
I think it's so commercialized at this point that, it's a cool product, but I'm not sure it's the future of TV.
Okay. But do you agree, one question, everyone keeps saying that everyone is going to gravitate to watching entirely online instead of watching on television sets. Do you agree with that?
No, I think it's just that it's going to be an internet-connected television or screen.
How much do you watch? Do you watch do you watch Netflix?
I do watch. I love Netflix.
On TV though.
No, I watch Netflix on my computer.
Okay, so
Really?
we watch Netflix on TV.
You do?
Yeah, I've never watched it. on
Once
the
you do
computer.
that, then
Once you do, you're done.
you're
That's
done.
all you'll do.
Then you don't need
Yeah, I got to get there.
TV, but I shouldn't
I mean,
say that
I guess
aloud.
that's true. So it'll end up going back to the television set.
Should we talk about Microsoft?
Yeah, it's
The Xbox is out.
Xbox is going to be big.
It's going to be huge
It's going to be huge for about a year or two.
for about a year or two.
Yeah, I think the problem with Xbox is that when you look at Microsoft's strategy and the console world in general, it's such a long flight time. It's 8 years, 7 years. So this box, which is gargantuan, by the way, is going to be outdated in a year or two. Our iPad will be faster than the Xbox, in a year or two. The gaming,
But
quality
how
will
many
be better
people are
than
going
an
to buy
Xbox.
the Xbox for gaming versus turning it into like an Apple TV? Because it has all of these other capabilities
Right.
that are now about music and entertainment and streaming your
Definitely a
Netflix
living
and all.
room play. Absolutely, you're right. But I think also what does happen with Apple TV, if this is Microsoft's way in, I mean, from what we've seen so far, it's not exactly that incredible. It's not reinventing television.
How many Xboxes out? There's more Xboxes out there than there are Apple TVs by a mile.
Absolutely.
And so why hasn't Microsoft been able to take advantage of that?
TV licensing, I mean, it's hard to get the content.
This goes back to Hulu.
Right, but this is also really hard with Xbox. You have to actually plug in your cable box into the Xbox to get your television.
And I'm out. I can't.
It's
get that. That
really.
makes
Do what?
You have to actually take the HDMI cable and plug it into your Xbox so it goes through the Xbox.
Ben, come on. You can do that.
No, I could do it. I could do it. It's an extra wire. It's an
clunky.
extra
It's something
step.
Apple would never do.
Yeah.
It's not the right way to do it at this point,
Yeah. But I guess it makes more sense than like a standalone set-top box, right? Which
It does.
Used to be.
Okay, so since you pretty much hate all the technology, what's the one cool thing that's out there that you're excited about? Boy genius, have a genius.
I mean, I'm honestly I'm excited about what Apple's going to do in the fall. I think if Apple doesn't come out really, really big, I think we'll start to see some of the stuff unraveling a little bit. So I'm actually really positive on Apple, but we'll see in the fall.
What were you doing when you were 17 to get called the boy genius?
I was leaking all information on technology before anyone had it.
BlackBerry.
So BlackBerry.
BlackBerry. He had
Basically,
every-
I'd have the phone before anyone had ever seen it outside of the company. So I'd be putting this online, and then that's how the whole thing
I
started.
used to press refresh on that page multiple times a day because he had stuff that nobody should have ever.
How are you
had
getting that
access to.
stuff? Are you allowed to say? Or
No.
That's the book. That's the book
the
right there.
secret.
Come on.
It was
So many private investigators
bag
followed me,
deliveries in an
tried
alley.
to sue me.
Really?
I mean, oh my God, Rim almost sued me a couple of times.
Ben's getting more and more.
I
It was,
like
it was
that,
crazy.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Okay. Boy genius. Jonathan, thank you for joining us this morning.
Andrew, you still have an iPhone?
Right here.
Okay. How many times can you go
Swipes.
like that?
You mean how many?
On
How many
Apps page?
applications? Yeah,
I have 4 or 5 screens.
only 4 or 5.
1, 2, 3, but 4. But I
I'm
also,
getting-
but I put them in the in folders.
Oh, you
You're
do?
very organized.
do.
Wow.
Whoa. See, I'm just filling the second page, but on AccuWeather, which is
Yeah.
an app, it will tell you the probability of whether your hair is going to frizz on any given day, 5 days in advance.
I can tell that. I can tell. I know my own hair.
You don't
I
need,
know.
but wouldn't you like to look
As
5
a
days in
report, I
advance
know.
whether it's going to be a
I don't need
low
hair app.
frizz?
I know if I look at the humidity.
I mean,
levels, I can figure it out.
sinus probably whether the
Humidity above 70, you're in trouble.
You need this. You need this. Yeah, but you don't know. Like you don't know on Saturday if it's going to be a low frizz day.
If I see all I need
Download
is
this
humidity.
app,
But
huh?
I already do that online. I look
Yeah,
up the 5-10 day forecast.
Okay.
And I know.
And it has, and you can tell from the humidity.
I can tell from the humidity.
There's a frizz index.
I was impressed, but.
All right. When we come
know
back,
if
we
it,
have
like,
much more
weighs.
from our guest host today, author Ben Mesrick. Also, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, recovering in the housing market before Case-Shiller home price numbers hit the tape. We'll talk to the chief economist at Zillow.com. Right now, though, as we head to a break, take a look at the U.S. equity futures because we have some catching up to do with what Europe and Asia have done the last couple of days. You're going to see it right there with the Dow futures up by about 115 points.